Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He is the author of the book Our Game, no other than Mr. Jeffrey P. Schaffer. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Jeff, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes, thank you, Dan. Um, Appreciate your having me on your cast today. Um, the book Our Game was actually my first novel. It was written a couple of years ago, and it tells the fictional story of the first woman to play professional baseball.
That's awesome. So, Mr. Jeffrey, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. Thank you so much. So, what is the central plot of our game, and how does it reflect themes of loyalty and betrayal?
Well, the motivation behind the story was that a few years ago, for about 5 years, I was teaching a class on business ownership at a local women's college. And after class one day, I was meeting with a graduating senior who was also on the softball team. And I asked her, "Are you doing anything with softball after you graduate?" And she gave me two answers. The first answer was, "No, softball, professional softball, isn't that big in the United States." And then she said to me, "And girls don't play baseball." Well, at the time, I had been toying with the idea of writing a novel about the history of baseball parks in the United States, but with fictional characters. And then when she said to me, "Girls don't play baseball," a light bulb went off over my head. And I thought, there's the plot to my story. So I decided that I would write a novel about the first woman to play professional baseball, and it's called Our Game. And the main character is named Maria. She's a graduating senior at a Division I university in Southern California, and she has wanted to be a professional baseball player her entire life, but currently there are no women playing in the major leagues. So I wrote a story about a woman who actually achieves that goal.
Interesting, Mr. Jeff. Interesting. And what role does Emma and shared love interest play driving the narrative?
I'm sorry, repeat the question, please.
What role does the protagonist shared love interest
Well,
play in played in the driving the narrative?
she she has a decision to make, either to go to graduate school or to continue her professional softball career. And deep down inside, all she wants to do is play professional baseball. And one day she's at the batting cages hitting baseballs, and she happens to be scouted by someone, and she eventually is asked to try out for a minor league franchise of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, what's interesting though is while she is the protagonist of the story, there are several interesting heroes that come into play during the course of the book that help her on her journey. One of them is a new love interest named Marlon, who she happens to meet, and he helps her along her journey as well. In addition to her softball coach, and several individuals who, let's just say, are a little outside the norm of people that you meet every day.
Outside the norm, people. So, how does the book explore the complexities of espionage and its impact on personal relationships?
It is, it's a motivational story, Daniel. It is one where you have someone who has been excluded from a certain segment of our society by virtue of her gender. And it is someone who is given the opportunity to break that gender wall, but with great difficulty. And she faces several obstacles along the way, but she perseveres. And uh, like with all the books I'm writing, I'm hoping that the story, if it falls into the right hands, will actually motivate Major League Baseball to invite women to try out for spots on their teams, um, and assuming they can make the grade.
So, how does the book title Our Game reflect themes or events of the story?
Our game is a phrase that was used in a baseball poem by Walt Whitman in the late 19th century. And it was mentioned in, I think, the movie Bull Durham. And I believe it was mentioned in the Ken Burns baseball series. I picked the title Our Game because I like the fact that there was an O in the title. And as you can see, and your viewers can see, I came up with the idea of a baseball for that letter with both the male and female gender to signify that as our national pastime, baseball should welcome everyone into the major leagues to try out and see if they can make the team.
So, how does the novel suggest about the blurred lines between personal and professional loyalty? Mr. Jeff?
How does it pertain to personal professional loyalty?
Yes.
Um, the story relies on loyalty from Maria's colleagues and people who are trying to assist her along the way. Her roommate, who's also the catcher on the softball team, motivates her and pushes her along the way. Her softball coach does the same, as does her new boyfriend. Um, but it is the loyalty of everyone who is involved in helping her to the major leagues to achieve something that's never been done before. So, in other words, the people that assist Maria take on the mission with her, and they show her an incredible amount of loyalty by doing so.
So, how does our game reflect the political tensions?
I think it actually softens political tensions. There's a passage in the book that points out that professional baseball has been around since the late 1860s. And at that time, all the professional baseball players were males and they were white. And during the next, oh, 70, 80 years, baseball was fully integrated in terms of cultures, races, religions, except for one segment of our society, and that's women. So in this story, there is actually a woman who tries out and makes the team. So, in a sense, Daniel, it eliminates politics from our national pastime because anyone can now try out for the team and anyone can make the team if they've got the talent. That's a great question.
Thank you. So, Mr. Jeff, what are some examples of deception in the story and how do they shape the character's fate?
Like any good story, there are people you root for, heroes, there are villains, people that you don't like. There are individuals in the story who do not want to see a woman playing professional baseball. And I included that in the story because unfortunately that's the way it was in the 1940s when the Los Angeles Dodgers were trying to bring Jackie Robinson onto their team. Um, so um, these people that are against women playing baseball put up several roadblocks, but the folks that are loyal to the main character Maria and her friends and her supporters, they manage to battle each of the challenges that arises during the story.
Very well said, Mr. Jeff. Very well said. So, what will be your advice for those people out there? First time to write their novel, short stories, or a memoir.
My advice, Daniel, would be to write about what you love, write about what motivates you. Um, Writing a novel for the first time can be like starting a new business. People think to themselves, what business should I start? what should I write about? Uh, and I've owned a business and I've also uh, and now writing my third novel. And in each case, what I did with my company and what I did with my books is I pursued something of personal interest to me. Because when you're pursuing something that's of personal interest, motivation, creativity, it's hardly work. It becomes more of a wonderful, wonderful hobby, a pursuit that really motivates you to complete the project.
So, what are your short term and long term goals in writing, Mr. Jeff?
Um, I consider myself, Daniel, to not be a writer. I consider myself to be a storyteller. And as soon as I'm finished with the stories I have to tell, I'll be done as an author. I'm not pursuing this as a professional writer, professional author, where I want to come out with a book every year. However, uh, my my second book, Jet Trails at Dusk, um, had just came out on the market, and my third book, Magical Madness, will be out on the market later this year. And then after that, I have a story which will probably turn into a series of at least a few books. So my goals are to finish the stories that I have motivating me, and after that, we'll see. I think good storytellers always seem to have stories that they're thinking about.
Definitely. For sure, and good luck for your goals in life or goals in writing, Mr. Jeff. And what are your expectations to your debut novel, Our Game?
My expectation, my hope, Daniel, is that people who are involved in women's baseball, girls' baseball, will read the book and it will help to motivate a movement where more girls play baseball, and eventually women are encouraged to try out for Major League Baseball teams. There's a wonderful organization in the United States called Baseball for All, which encourages girls baseball. So anyone who's interested in this movement, I would recommend that you get involved somehow with girls baseball, either by supporting it or coaching, mentoring, because it is a personal goal of mine to see uh, the doors to every major league team available to everyone in the United States who has the talent to make the team.
That'd be awesome. So, our game, is there another series, another follow up?
Not at this time. I finished the story,
Yes.
and those of your audience who choose to read the story, I hope they um, will hopefully also be interested in my other stories. My second book, Jet Trails at Dusk, is about a very successful entrepreneur who becomes disgruntled with the loss of privacy in the United States due to technology, and he decides to do something about it. And then my third book, coming out this year, Magical Madness, is about a gentleman who's a very caring, loving individual who meets up with a mythical character to help him make all his dreams come true. So the stories are very different. So to answer your question, for now, unless something comes to mind or there's a request in the future, our game is started and finished.
Okay, so what commentary does the book offer on the role of Western intelligence agencies in a global conflicts?
Western intelligence agencies. Um, there really are none. It's just a good story. It's a good story. It's about
Fictional novel.
perseverance. And it's about fairness.
Okay, that'd be awesome. So, what is the significance of trust in the relationship depicted in our game?
The most important aspect of trust in our game is that you have to trust yourself. In any goal worth pursuing, there are going to be setbacks. Whether you're a writer, business owner, an athlete, there are going to be setbacks. It's part of the formula. It's part of the equation. You have to embrace the setbacks and trust yourself. And then you also have to trust friends and family and colleagues who will help you along the way. And sometimes a person can betray their trust, which is unfortunate. But that doesn't mean you should stop trusting people because most people do want to participate and help out people to achieve their goals.
Definitely. So, Mr. Jeff, to sum up or to wrap up our discussion for today, what is your interpretation of the book's ending, our game, and how does it reflect the overarching themes?
Well, you'll have to read the story to find out what happens to Berea, but it is a happy ending. All my books have happy endings. Uh, she does persevere through her challenges, and uh, she does ultimately achieve her goals. And it's a story that is good for all ages. I originally wrote the book for the young adult and new adult audiences, but anyone who likes sports, baseball, and stories of achievement with a happy ending will enjoy the story.
Definitely. So, Mr. Jeff Schaffer, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. And we are looking forward for more books to come. So can you please invite our listeners to support all your books?
Yes, thank you, Daniel. All my information, biography, information, my books can be found on my website at www.jeffreypschaefer.com.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Jeffrey Schaffer because if you support him, more empowering books to come. So, Mr. Jeff, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm grateful for you having me on your podcast today.
More to come, people. See you soon. I'm gonna share to you the link our live episode after.